This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the Prime Minister, senior ministers and KiwiRail execs have visited Hillside. Dunedin's Burmese community says this week's concert means the world to them as their homeland is in turmoil. And large power cables are being laid under Otago Harbour, which is set to reduce the number of power pylons on the peninsula. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Daryl Baser. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has paid a visit to Dunedin's Hillside workshop, which is set to undergo a major redevelopment later this year. Her visit with Finance Minister Grant Robertson to the South Dunedin site follows this month's budget announcement of $85 million to modernise the historic train manufacturing site.
Taking stock of rolling stock. The Prime Minister, Finance Minister and locally based Members of Parliament visiting Hillside workshops today in the wake of announcing significant funding for the manufacturing sector in Dunedin.
Well, look, there's significant benefit to New Zealand. Not only does it mean that we'll increase our manufacturing capacity here in New Zealand, it creates jobs, it creates training opportunities, and it helps us with our transition as we look to deal with the important issue of climate change.
Transport Minister Michael Wood says about 445 jobs will be created between Hillside and a new South Island mechanical maintenance hub in Christchurch. The Hillside investment alone is set to support up to 150 construction jobs and up to 45 operational KiwiRail jobs, including apprenticeships. KiwiRail has provided details of the redevelopment and an animated video of what the new Hillside will look like. Group Chief Executive Greg Miller confirming today the redevelopment will go ahead this year following significant investment from the government. He says workers on the shop floor are ready to take the plant back to the future.
Just so you know, we did 30,000 online training sessions in our Learning and Development Centre this year. So COVID made us train remotely, but 30,000 training sessions online is what our business is about these days. So significant technology.
State-owned Enterprises Minister and Dunedin Member of Parliament Dr David Clark says the investment means local jobs, rebuilding expertise and youth training opportunities, boosting Otago's economy.
It's a great day for Hillside, it's a great day for the government, it's a great day for Dunedin as well. The apprentices that will be trained that the Prime Minister's spoken about will also go, no doubt, and work also in other enterprises locally. That's been part of Dunedin's success over the years, has been that strong apprenticeship training through Hillside.
As part of the budget earlier this month, the government reaffirmed its commitment to the South Dunedin facility as part of its 10-year rail plan, announcing Hillside will receive $85 million for new facilities to assemble about 1,500 wagons. In Dunedin, The South Today.
The Otago Regional Council is stepping up its monitoring of intensive winter grazing this year, beginning with flyovers across the region this week. The ORC undertakes flights every year to gain a bird's eye view of land use in the region and identify water quality risks. Ministers David Parker and Damien O'Connor have set expectations for measurable improvements in winter grazing practices over the next 12 months. ORC Compliance Manager Tammy Sargent says it's as important as ever to prioritise good practice. Dunedin's Burmese community is coming together along with a host of performers this Thursday for a solidarity concert. For one of the concert organisers, the latest wave of violence is reopening old wounds, which caused her to flee her homeland many years ago.
When Myanmar's military seized power, deposing the elected leader of the country formerly known as Burma, it opened a world of hurt for Ai Thang of Dunedin's Burmese community.
It just brings back a lot of unwanted memory, unhappy memories, and especially to be seeing kids, innocent children being killed, people being tortured, women, pregnant ladies. it's really sad, and we're all grieving one way or another.
University of Otago final year medical student Nin Phu A Thang is one of the organisers of a concert being held this Thursday in Dunedin's Town Hall. The concert is called Solidarity Myanmar, however Thang doesn't recognise the name Myanmar.
And so it was my way of defying the military and not accepting to, comply by their rules. So when they changed the country's name to Myanmar, I refused to call it Myanmar.
Dunedin's Burmese community came together to begin organising this concert just after the military coup about 3 months ago. She believes there are many possible reasons why the military seized power, deposing elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Thang believes the military leader staged the coup to avoid facing charges in relation to alleged war crimes.
The UN is looking at taking him to the International Criminal Court for those atrocities that he's committed.
The Solidarity Myanmar concert features a host of performers, including the Dunedin Jazz Club, New Zealand Poet Laureate David Eagleton, and Dunedin's Myanmar community, along with internationally renowned musician Tiny Ruins, otherwise known as Holly Fulbrook.
And Holly was one of the ones that responded and said, yes, we can do that free of charge. We'd love to, support the course. It's a great course, and yeah, we're very grateful.
The entertainment is set to begin at Thursday's concert at 7:30 p.m. in Dunedin, the South Today.
People in Otago are set to get a good look at the rare super blood moon tomorrow night. NIWA forecasters are predicting clear skies over the region for the total lunar eclipse. The super blood moon will reach its peak between 11:11 p.m. and 11:25 p.m. tomorrow on Wednesday night. NIWA says it's a rare combination of three factors: a full moon, the moon being at its closest point to the Earth in their orbit, and the total lunar eclipse. Work is underway to lay a series of underwater power cables across Otago Harbour. Once completed, a number of overhead lines spanning the harbour can be removed, making the area safer for both rescue helicopters and bird life.
Divers help out with a cable-laying barge on Otago Harbour to lay the first of two new high-voltage power cables that will run almost 2 kilometres between Port Chalmers and Portobello. Project manager Ben Bulling says the new cables will replace a current submarine cable as well as overhead lines that were installed over 60 years ago.
Currently we have an overhead line which goes between Port Chalmers and Portobello, and also a submarine cable that was installed in 1947. Both of these assets are getting towards the end of their serviceable life, so we want to be proactive and replace that now to ensure that we don't get too many failures in the future.
The overhead lines to the peninsula will remain live and won't be removed until the reliability of the new cables is assessed later this year. Once the lines are gone, it will be safer for both rescue helicopters operating in the harbour as well as seabirds striking the wires.
Amazing opportunity to remove an overhead line, which is something we don't get to do very often. So it is an exciting project from that aspect.
Bulling says the new cables should last well towards the end of this century.
The new cable generally got a 50 to 80 year life as well, so we hope to get some good longevity out of that. So, and that's what makes it a once-in-a-lifetime project, is that, we don't replace these cables very often.
A third 400-metre cable at a lower voltage is set to be laid between Portobello and Quarantine Island. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And still to come on the South Today, the Waitaki District Council is being asked for significant heritage funding, and we have a look at work happening on a West Coast landmark. See you after the break.
Hi, Lindsay here from MENSWEAR. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, warm ones, work ones, business. merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hey, what have you got?
Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent.
Love it! Chicks World! Chicks World!
Welcome back. Heavy snow, rain and strong winds are likely to smash the South Island this weekend as a large and complex low pressure system heads towards New Zealand. Forecasters say it's still too early to specify exactly where the weather will hit, but early indications suggest up to 40 centimetres of heavy snow could land on the Southern Alps and Alpine highways. There could also be several centimetres of snow falling on the Canterbury Plains and snow in Otago as well. But it's not all bad news, with considerable amounts of rain likely to fall on South Island areas currently experiencing a very dry spell. The Oamaru Whitestone Civic Trust is asking the local council for financial assistance. The trust works to ensure the preservation and redevelopment of Oamaru's Victorian precinct. It's asking the council to allocate $250,000 annually to the Waitaki Heritage Fund, as well as low-interest loans totalling over $500,000. The trust claims that renovating heritage buildings helps them become more valuable in the long term as rates increase, and the funding will eventually be paid back to the council. Early last year, workers began putting in bridge piles for a new bridge across the Ahoda River about 25 kilometres northeast of Greymouth. Just over a year on, and $25 million later, the new span is almost ready to be opened to the public.
Finishing touches are being applied to the new $25 million bridge across the Ahoda River in the West Coast's Grey Valley. Paul Orton of Trueline Civil Construction says making the approaches for the bridge robust and unlikely to subside over time has been a challenge.
Yeah, so we've gone all the way from stripping topsoil, archaeological finds to deep muddy excavations. We've had all sorts of quirks with underground water, right through the pavement bill, old landfills that needed to be removed. So we've had lots of interesting works in there.
Simon Potts of HFB Construction agrees, saying there was a lot of soft fill that had to be removed from the banks on either side of the river.
A lot of work being undertaken there with the earthworks, the excavation, removal of what was an old tip site, and we had also buried forest in there, so there was extensive excavation that was required prior to bringing in the fill material for the southern approach.
It's been over a year since work started on these supporting piles for the bridge, so that the new structure could be firmly bedded into the sandstone rock beneath the river gravels.
The bridge piles were 1800 diameter steel casings which were excavated and driven into the riverbed below to the sandstone. Off those steel casings we brought up reinforced concrete columns which form the basis of the bridge foundation.
The construction includes an expansion joint for hot weather, as well as making the bridge more resistant to earthquakes. However, it's not just about making a practical and resilient structure, but also a beautiful one, with anti-graffiti paint to go on the bridge side barriers and the addition of amenity trees and shrubs.
All the planting, that's been a big task. Just the plants that we've got in so far, we're getting close to 10,000 individual plants that are placed so far. We've still got another 3,000 to 5,000 to go in. So that's happening in the next fortnight to get those in, so that it'll really make it.
The old one-lane bridge across the Ahora River is set to be removed once the new bridge opens to traffic in the next few weeks. Near Greymouth, the South Today.
And after the break on the South Today, there's more news about snow, and then we look at your weather. See you after the break.
All new episodes of Put Some Colour in Your Life are now screening on Channel 39. Take a look at Australian artists and the techniques they use in their studio. Put Some Colour in Your Life, Tuesdays, 7:30.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, Lindsay here from Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Thanks for staying with us. A NIWA hydrologist is asking skiers and mountaineers to collect samples of snow for a new research project. The project is being run by Dr. Alice Hill, who plans to do chemical isotope analysis of the snow samples which are sent in. The goal is to determine the amount of meltwater making its way into rivers and groundwater, and how that might change over time, affecting future water supplies. Dr. Hill is making sampling packs for skiers and climbers to scoop up a small sample and send to her. She says it's okay if the snow melts in transit. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The Prime Minister, senior ministers and Kiwi Rail execs have visited Hillside, announcing big plans. Dunedin's Burmese community says this week's concert means the world as their homeland is again in turmoil. And large power cables are being laid under Otago Harbour, which is set to reduce the number of power pylons on the Otago Peninsula. Time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Day Times. We have Mr. Hayden Meikle. Kia ora, Hayden.
Good evening, Daryl. How are you?
I'm good, bud. You?
Good. Yeah, very good. It's been a busy day, as we've seen. The Prime Minister in town, Jacinda Ardern and Grant Robertson, the two most powerful people in New Zealand. So we've understandably been trailing them around the city today, and fantastic to see them at Hillside and be talking about Hillside. $85 million in the budget, very exciting plan. And today we saw some of these exciting plans of what it would look like. So we're largely talking about Hillside, along with the Prime Minister and the Deputy. We've talked to an employee of Hillside who's a long-serving employee, and his father also worked at Hillside. So he's talking about just the renewed sense of enthusiasm and hope, I guess, that announcement has given Hillside, which is just such a special part of the city's kind of history. So that's good. They're also talking a little bit, obviously, about the Dunedin Hospital rebuild, which is set to sort of dominate the next few years in the city. So lots of coverage of the Prime Minister's visit. And Dunedin City Council, busy day again today of meetings. Three Waters has been a big focus for them, specifically around the council's feelings about what the government is planning to do. So a lot of questions about government reforms of Three Waters and the implications for councils. So that's going to be another ongoing story, and we'll have our man Grant Miller will be all around that explaining what it means. So news in today, obviously, Melbourne shut down for 3 days with a community COVID outbreak. So we are frantically trying to find somebody trapped in Dunedin or a southern person stuck in Melbourne to get an angle on that. So I suspect there'll be a few around about. Melbourne's a very, very popular destination, and we know lots of Kiwis have been jumping on planes to get to Australia, and vice versa, of course. We've got Aussies coming out here, so that'll be interesting. And in sport, a really lovely Neil Broome, well-known cricketer, of course, played for the Black Caps, played for Otago forever and a day. Phenomenal stalwart, really, of Otago cricket. 37 years old. He played Premier Rugby last weekend, and we've had a good chat to Neil today about why he's returned to the rugby pitch this year and what his sort of plans and hopes are. But quite nice and great to see a guy like that, you know, really giving back to grassroots sport. He's done so much for Otago cricket. And pretty cool, I think, to see someone like that playing rugby as well. So all that, Daryl, and there's quality throughout. All sorts of good stuff in the rest of the paper, I assure you.
As they say, quality endures.
Indeed.
Cheers, Hayden. Time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view of keen book hunters ready for Oamaru Rotary's Bookarama. Looking at the situation, fine weather continues tomorrow and Thursday as a ridge of high pressure moves slowly away from the South Island. Watch out for some very cold weather and low-level snow arriving this weekend. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, the sun's out for Westport and Greymouth with 13 degrees for you both. Diving across to the northeast of the South Island, Nelson and Blenheim should both be fine with 14 degrees. Heading down to Canterbury, Kokoda's also fine on 15 degrees, Christchurch is looking at 13 and Ashburton is due for 12 degrees tomorrow. Looking at the southern towns, light winds and fine across this region as well. The centres are all heading for 12 degrees. And the big yellow continues for the southern lakes. Light winds and fine again for Wanaka, who should reach 11 degrees. Queenstown drags itself to 10, while Alexandra and Tiano both head for 12 degrees. It's fine and cool with light winds for the northern towns too. 12 degrees inland for Twizel and Omarama, and 13 on the coast for Oamaru and Timaru. In Dunedin, some clouds tonight with an overnight low of 3 degrees. A little milder tomorrow, fine with long sunny periods and north to northeast winds, a high of 13 and a low of 2. Mostly fine and sunny on Thursday with light northeasterlies, a high of 14 and a low of 5. And in Invercargill, fine and cold tonight with frosts and an overnight low of -1. Milder tomorrow and Thursday, fine with long sunny periods and some high cloud with moderate northerly winds, a high of 14 and a low of 2. Thursday's high is a carbon copy of tomorrow's, but the overnight low is due to be a bit warmer on 4 degrees. And that's all from the South Today team for this bulletin and for today. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and check out Channel 39 on YouTube and Facebook. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.